This video is going to talk all about SEO for dispensaries. We're going to talk about a lot of the things that dispensaries do wrong, a lot of the things that dispensaries forget about, and really just talking all things SEO for dispensaries. So before we jump in, one thing that I want to make very, very clear with dispensaries in particular is that this is a very, very different space than, doing SEO for a physical therapist or something like that. This is very, very different. And there are dozens and dozens of SEO activities that you can do as a dispensary, both on your website, off-page SEO. All of them are not created equal. So, when you're considering, SEO for dispensaries, there's a lot that goes into it, and it's very, very individualized. A multi-location dispensary in the state of California is going to need a different strategy than a small single location dispensary in a smaller town in Oregon. So with that being said, let's jump into this. So what is, with that being said, not all dispensaries are created equal when it comes to SEO and the exact strategies that you need to implement. But one thing is very, very clear is how people search for dispensaries online. And the magic happens in what's called the Google Local Pack, and we'll get to that in 1 second. Before we do, take a look at why the local pack and why this form of search is so important. Nowadays, people are sitting on their couch, they're watching Netflix, and they're thinking about what they're going to go get from the dispensary for that evening. And they pull out their smartphone, and they type in something like dispensary near me, best dispensary near me, dispensary in Portland. And here's how that search has been trending over time. So this is the search for dispensary near me. This screenshot is from a tool called Google Trends. And Google Trends is owned by Google, and it basically shows how keyword phrases trend over time. You can see that dispensary near me has been trending very, 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 very far upward. Now you might be thinking, okay, well, more dispensaries have opened, more states have legalized, so that makes sense. However, this trend is common across all industries. Even for something like dry cleaner near me, this graph looks nearly identical to dispensary near me. People are simply searching locally. And when they do that, what happens? This happens. When you type in dispensary near me or dispensary in Portland, the very first thing that shows up is what's called the Google Local Pack. As we know, currently you cannot pay for advertising through Google Ads or any sort of advertising when you're a dispensary. Now, as things get more and more legalized, and if the government chooses to federally legalize things, that might change. But for now, you can't do that. So the very first thing that shows up is the Google Local Pack. And the businesses that get found here, they win. They get the most visibility, and they get the most traffic to their website. And what's really, really important for dispensaries is people often, when they're looking for dispensaries, they'll type in dispensary near me, and then they just visit. They'll just click for a direction. They'll click on Google Maps, they'll click for a direction, and they will drive to that dispensary. And so these businesses that get found here, they get increased foot traffic as well, just people walking in and buying. So with that being said, how do you get found in the Google Local Pack? This is where the magic happens. Pull out your smartphone, type in, dispensary in Seattle, dispensary in San Francisco, dispensary in Los Angeles. Those dispensaries that are ranking in the Google Local Pack for those searches are dominating. They are doing just fine. And that's where you want to be as well. So how do you get found there? One of the biggest pieces of this is your Google My Business. So when Google's determining which dispensary to rank here, it's looking at hundreds of different things. It's looking at the images on your website, the back-end code on your website. It's looking at a number of different things. But one thing that it looks at very closely is your Google My Business. And that has more weight than a lot of other factors that Google's looking at. So this is one of the main priorities to get found in this Maps area, this Google Local Pack area. And this is the back end of your Google My Business. And to get found in the local pack, you want to optimize your Google My Business as best you can. So naturally, you probably already have a Google My Business, and you're thinking, well, what do I need to do? I've got my name. I've got the fact that, um, that I am a cannabis store. I have the fact that my hours of operation are listed, my phone number's listed, my website's listed. What else do I need? Well, within your Google My Business, you can write detailed descriptions. You can add products. You can add services. You can add attributes. And you can do these using SEO-friendly keywords, not keyword stuffing. Google will potentially penalize you if you try to stuff keywords into your Google My Business. But there's a right way to go about doing this to increase your visibility. And so that is really critical. If you want to get found in the Google local pack, here, you need to optimize everything within the back end of your Google My Business. There are dozens of other SEO strategies for dispensaries that you can implement. Again, not all are created equal. It's going to depend on your specific situation. Running an audit of your website to figure out where you're currently at and what's missing, what's going wrong. So that's really important. And that audit will exactly kind of determine which strategies are going to be the most important for your specific business. Here are just a couple examples: writing content, title tags, meta descriptions, header tags, schema, name, address, phone number. These are all things that Google is looking at. But again, not all are created equal. Some businesses need one more than the other. It just depends on your specific situation. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to talk about two strategies that a lot of dispensaries that I've seen have done wrong, have done incorrect. And the first is name, address, phone number consistency. NAP stands for name, address, phone number. This screenshot here is directly from Google's SEO starter guides. Google has released a guide that kind of tells businesses what they should think about when it comes to their own SEO. And as you can see, I've highlighted the word trust because it shows up over and over and over again. Google, when someone types in dispensary near me or dispensary in Portland, for example, what Google's trying to do is it's trying to show the best result to the user. That's Google's job. And one thing that it really looks at is trust. It wants to know that if I'm choosing to rank this particular dispensary over another dispensary, I need to trust that this dispensary is actually better than its competitors. And one way it does that is through name, address, phone number consistency. So what we see is that here's an example of a screenshot of a dispensary and their name, address, phone number score. And why this is so important is especially, let's start with phone number. So this screenshot here is leveraging and using the data from this business's, the dispensary is called Somewhere, this dispensary's Google My Business profile. And here's the phone number on this Google My Business profile. What some dispensaries do is they say, hey, I want to track to see where we get the most phone calls from. So they have one phone number on their Google My Business. They have a different phone number on their website. They have a different phone number on their Weed Maps profile, and the list goes on. And sure, that really helps with tracking. You can say, okay, I got 6 phone calls from Weed Maps this month, or I got 20 phone calls from my website this month. But what that ends up doing is it loses trust for Google because Google's crawling the internet. It knows that you have a Weed Maps profile. It knows all of these things, and it sees all these different phone numbers out there. And it says, if I rank this business over a competitor, I don't trust this business as much because its phone number may be different on different profiles. Same thing with the the name. On their Google My Business, their name might be listed as Somewhere. However, on Weed Maps, it might be listed as Somewhere Dispensary. And even though that seems trivial, again, it's just more inconsistency that Google's having to play around with to say, okay, do I really trust this dispensary over its competitor? So I've seen dozens of dispensaries do this wrong. Their phone number, their name, address, phone number is very inconsistent, which Google loses trust in. The second is writing comprehensive content. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of cannabis-related topics that you can create content around. You may be thinking, well, why would I do that? Here are 2 examples of clients that we've worked with. that have basically gone from 0 organic traffic from Google per month to over 20,000 visitors per month. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of topics, again, that you can create content around. And what this does is it makes you more of an authority to Google. Google will crawl the content on your website. And if done well, Google will say, this business is really authoritative. They know what they're talking about. I trust them over competitors. For example, writing content around THC versus CBD, writing content around CBG, writing content around, does CBD help with migraines, writing content around THC tinctures, all of these different things. Again, there are thousands of topics that you can write content around, and if you do them well, Google's going to see you as an authority over your competitors. So if you're a dispensary, you're looking for support, we can help. We have a free audit on our website. Go to portlandseogrowth.com. The audit is not done by some piece of software where it just spits out some generic result that you can't understand. It's a video like this. It's us actually going on your website, actually looking at your business information, at your digital presence, and providing free strategies that you can use to help your dispensary grow.